Here's a hard truth most Americans never hear. Governments talk transparency, but when it comes to gold, the numbers don't add up. Not even close. Now, let's slow this down because this isn't conspiracy talk. This is balance sheet reality. On paper, United States claims to hold over 8,000 tons of gold, the largest reserve on Earth. Germany, Italy, France, same story. Clean numbers, official audits, end of discussion. Except, that's not how gold actually works in the real financial system. Here's the thing nobody likes to say out loud. Reported gold is not the same as controlled gold. And that gap matters more today than it has in decades. Most people assume gold reserves just sit there, untouched, sealed away, gathering dust. That's the story we're sold. In reality, much of this gold exists inside a financial maze of custodians, leases, swaps, and paper claims. Gold that's owned but not necessarily held. Gold that's listed but not always accessible. Former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan once said, and this is often ignored, gold still represents the ultimate form of payment in the world. Wasn't nostalgia. That was a warning, because if gold is the ultimate settlement asset, then who really controls it becomes a question of power, not accounting. And this isn't just a U.S. issue. Over the past decade, multiple countries have quietly started asking uncomfortable questions about their own reserves. Germany demanded audits. Venezuela tried to retrieve its gold and learned the hard way that possession beats paperwork. Even us allies have pushed for repatriation, slowly, carefully, without headlines. Why? Because trust is thinning. As J.P. Morgan famously put it, gold is money. Everything else is credit. And when systems rely heavily on credit, transparency becomes optional until it suddenly isn't seen. So when governments publish clean gold numbers, Americans should ask a sharper question. Is that gold physically there? And could it be accessed if the system actually needed it? Because once confidence cracks, reported reserves stop being reassuring and start being suspicious. And that takes us to the next layer, where the gold actually is. Who's holding it and why it's been quietly moving behind the scenes. Now, here's where this gets uncomfortable, because gold doesn't just exist. It sits somewhere, and increasingly, it's not sitting where the paperwork says it is. A massive portion of the world's sovereign gold is held in just a few places: New York, London, and historically, Paris. Not always at home, not always under direct national control. Instead, it's stored with custodians, central banks, and vaulting institutions that act as trusted middlemen on paper. It's fine. In reality, that trust is being stress tested because custodial gold can be leased, swapped, or rehypothecated, meaning the same bar can back multiple claims. It doesn't move. The paperwork does. And as long as nobody asks for delivery, the system hums along. But here's the tell. Countries have started asking for delivery. Germany shocked markets when it began repatriating hundreds of tons of gold from New York and Paris. Officially, it was about storage efficiency. Unofficially, it took years longer than expected and raised eyebrows across the financial world. The Netherlands followed, then Austria, Hungary, Poland, even countries outside the Western orbit, China and Russia especially, have been aggressively accumulating and storing gold domestically, not abroad. That's not random. That's strategic, as Ray Dalio has pointed out. When trust in the global monetary order starts to erode, nations move from promises to assets without counterparty risk. And gold, physical gold, sits at the top of that list. What's telling is how quietly this has all happened. No press conferences, no panic headlines, just steady movement, year after year. Because if governments openly admitted they no longer fully trust the custodial system, its confidence would crack overnight. So instead, they move silently, bar by bar, vault by vault, Which leads to the real question Americans should be asking next. Why does this matter now? And what does it signal about the future of money itself? That's where this goes next. So here's the bottom line, and this is the part most people miss. Gold doesn't move like this unless something bigger is changing. Governments don't repatriate reserves, stockpile quietly, or obscure reporting details because everything is fine. They do it because trust is becoming a scarce asset, and trust is the foundation of every fiat currency on Earth, including the US dollar. Let's be clear, this isn't about tomorrow morning. There's no countdown clock, no collapse alert, but history shows this pattern over and over again. When debt grows faster than productivity, when currencies rely more on confidence than discipline, when geopolitical fractures widen, gold stops being a relic and starts being insurance for power. Former Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson once admitted that financial systems don't fail all at once. They fail at the margins. First, quietly, technically, behind closed doors. That's exactly where gold operates. This is why central banks buy gold even when public messaging dismisses it. This is why reporting remains vague. And this is why Americans are rarely encouraged to think seriously about gold's role in the system. Because gold exposes an uncomfortable truth. If currencies were fully trusted, gold wouldn't matter this much. And yet, here we are. As Nassim Taleb famously warned, systems break not because of what we see, but because of what we assume won't happen. Gold exists for that exact reason. It's not an investment for optimism. It's a hedge against, overconfidence. So when governments quietly protect their gold position while telling the public not to worry about theirs, that gap should get your attention. This isn't about panic. It's about awareness, because in every major monetary shift in history, the people who understood power before headlines weren't the loudest. They were the calmest, the most prepared, and the least surprised. And that's the real story behind hidden gold reserves.